welcome to Accelerate India Technology for Growth, presented by Microsoft in partnership with CNBC TV 18 and Money Control. Through this series, we will look at technology in India and how it's playing a pivotal role for businesses to achieve new levels of growth. In this curtain raiser episode, I'm joined by two men who've been part of the Indian IT space for many years now, the chairman of Microsoft India, Bhaskar Pramanik, and the managing director of Microsoft India, Karan Bajwa. Gentlemen, appreciate you joining us here. Mr. Pramanik, let me start by asking you, how excited are you about the India story?
Things look very exciting at the present moment. We've always talked about India's great potential, and I think I now see the opportunity where that potential can actually be translated. We are slightly favorably placed compared to what we see happening in Brazil or in Russia or in China.
But is that only the Modi dividend, or is there something more to that story?
I think the Modi dividend is definitely there. I think, one of the things which has always been a challenge in India is good governance. And I think he's promised that. He's talked about the fact that, let's have maximum governance and minimal government. And if he actually translates that into reality, I think, there's a huge opportunity for all of us.
Do you feel as confident as he is about India and the India growth story?
Absolutely aligned. Absolutely. Very confident with what I see, what I hear from the government. We are very bullish about what's going to happen in this country. We are absolutely aligned in terms of our growth aspirations in this country.
Okay. Let's talk about the assumptions for growth. And one believes or hopes that the economy is going to get back to a 6%. It is still a far, far away off, but at least 6% plus kind of growth trajectory. In that context, we are seeing an explosion as far as mobile growth is concerned. The smartphone market growing at a rate of 40%, expected to continue to grow at that kind of pace over the next 5 years. The internet is booming. India is poised to become one of the largest internet economies, if not the largest internet economy. Sure. What excites you about that the most?
If you see today, India has about 900 mobile phones as of today, and about 250 million connected devices that connect to the internet today. And in about a year's time, we will actually cross the US in terms of the connected devices. What excites us is the transformation in technology that is happening today, cloud being a very, very clear example, and the opportunities that opens up to access these customers now and what they can do with technology. That's the exciting opportunity that exists with us.
Cloud is clearly an area of opportunity where you have seen significant growth coming in for Microsoft data analytics, commercial applications. You're looking at that. I want to go back to a comment that you made some time ago, saying that you will grow aggressively towards a devices and services kind of strategy. If you can articulate for us what that would mean in 2015 onwards.
So when we talked about devices and services, it is really a very generic definition of what the cloud-based economy or the cloud-based technology is about. You need devices which get connected to the cloud, which provides all the different kinds of services. Within that, you can think about productivity and platforms. So for example, from a Microsoft perspective, we have always been one of the key companies which has been providing productivity-based solutions. Productivity is one of the key challenges of the Indian industry across all the different segments. If we can increase productivity in vertical by a factor of 10%, that can have an impact of close to about 1 to 1.5% on the overall GDP of the company. When we talk about platforms, we talk about the way in which applications, services can be delivered, whether it is desktop platforms, mobile platforms, or it is the cloud platform. And one of the great things about Microsoft is we understand the concept of platforms. We know how to take end users, how to take IT people, and how do we take developers, and we can help harmonize what they create and put together.
This government is now talking about digital India. The previous government talked about broadband Bharat. This government is talking about smart cities. We're not very clear about how this smart city project is going to work out, or what it actually means to have a smart city. We have a number, 100. That's about it at this point in time. How do you read what this government is saying, and how confident do you believe that this time around we are actually going to see this vision being translated into reality?
What I like, Shireen, about what is happening now is the way all this is coming together. We've always had e-governance. We've had the national e-governance policy for the last 10 years. But it's the way this is all coming together in the form of one vision that keeps the citizen at the center. That, I think, is one great way that we are seeing this happen. And plus, the tone and tenor and the decibels around this whole conversation is much amplified than what I've seen ever before.
You know, there was excitement when the previous government launched the UIDAI, and now I'm sensing that same excitement being palpable when the government talks about Digital India or the Smart City project, again, for which we have very sketchy details at this point in time.
So I think the transition is from a project at a time to having a one seamless vision across end to end. From state to center, from citizen to governance. That's the one big difference. There'll always be projects, but it's how it comes together is the one big difference that we are seeing that makes us much more bullish about the reality of this vision.
But let me talk to you about another promise that this government is making. This whole Make in India strategy that Prime Minister Modi has been selling to the world, selling to investors. Do you believe that we are going to see OEMs moving manufacturing to India, given all, and forget the infrastructure deficit, because that infrastructure deficit is well known, well articulated, but do you believe the environment is conducive now for people to look at manufacturing significantly in India?
If I hear what the Prime Minister says, he says people don't need an invitation. It's not that you invite them and they would start coming and queuing up to start manufacturing in India. It's about creating that conducive policy environment and infrastructure that enables them to do the business. So if they focus on those things, I think people will queue up. Absolutely.
You know, the nature of manufacturing has also changed. If you think about the way manufacturing was done even 10 years ago and today, IT and, you know, cloud computing is going to play a much bigger role.
Yeah.
It's going to play a big role because you can understand better what your customers' requirements are. You can think about making products. 3D printing is not just about making a product, but think about it. The future, it is the software or the services which is attached to the product which is going to make those products more exciting. And that's really what is the difference. In fact, our CEO made this statement when he was here that all companies are going to be software companies in future because you won't buy a product which doesn't have a software or a service attached to it.
Right.
And therefore, what you can build, where the value is completely different. If it is just a knockdown assembly process, then I don't think that we will truly see the value add. But if you combine India's software capability, and if you look at our ability to mass produce objects, I think that can be a potent combination.